A federal judge just did something almost no one expected. United States Marshals were ordered to take Donald Trump's lawyers into custody. This was not a warning, not a fine, not a threat. Custody. Judge Caldwell called the Marshals back into the courtroom after Trump's attorneys continued to ignore direct court orders. When the Marshals returned, they were not there for protection. They were there to make arrests. This was not political drama. This was not a stunt. This was a sitting federal judge placing the former president's legal team under physical control for contempt of court. When officers of the court are detained by marshals inside a federal courtroom, something has gone terribly wrong. And Trump's legal team just learned that reality the hard way. What happens when lawyers push a federal judge too far? So what caused this moment that shocked everyone watching? It began when Trump's attorneys refused, for the third straight time, to follow Judge Caldwell's direct order to turn over documents the court had demanded weeks earlier. But this time, they went further. They openly challenged the judge's authority in court. They accused her of bias, and they told her they would not comply no matter what happened next. This was not just another courtroom fight in Trump's long list of legal battles. This was the moment lawyers treated a federal courtroom like a campaign stage and discovered judges have real power. Federal judges are given authority under the Constitution to control their courtrooms. The United States Marshal Service exists to enforce that authority. Judge Caldwell used both. For years, Trump's legal approach depended on delay, resistance, and the belief that real consequences would never arrive. That belief ended in a Washington, D.C. courtroom. I have the filings, the witness statements, and the legal breakdown. Let me walk you through exactly what happened, why Judge Caldwell finally reached her limit, and what this means for every Trump case moving forward. Here is the moment everyone is talking about. At approximately 2:47 p.m. Eastern Time, Judge Caldwell issued her final warning. She had ordered Trump's attorneys to produce a specific set of financial records 3 weeks earlier. The deadline passed. An extension was granted. That deadline passed too. Court transcripts show the defense produced nothing. This is the moment people tuned in for. Judge Caldwell said from the bench that the court's patience was gone. She said every reasonable chance had been given. She said the lawyers chose defiance. And she made clear that choice came with consequences. Attorney Stanley Woodward responded by questioning whether the court even had the authority to demand the documents. That argument had already been rejected twice. Witnesses say Judge Caldwell stayed calm, but her words were firm. She told Woodward he was not there to re-argue settled issues. She told him he was there to follow court orders. She asked one clear question. Would the documents be produced? The reported answer was no. What happened next stunned the room. Judge Caldwell called a short recess. The marshals standing near the back were dismissed. Many believed the judge was weighing her options. That is normal. But 12 minutes later, she returned and made a call no one expected. She ordered the marshals back. When they entered, Judge Caldwell issued her ruling. The court found counsel in direct criminal contempt. She instructed the marshals to take the defendants into custody pending a compliance hearing. This was criminal contempt, not civil. That meant detention. The attorneys were escorted out, not to a nearby room, but into full U.S. Marshals custody for processing. And here is the part that changed everything. The contempt ruling was not only about documents. Court filings released within the hour described a pattern of behavior. Repeated false statements, deliberate delay meant to block proceedings, and public remarks designed to weaken the authority of the court. The filing pointed to a social media post from one attorney just hours before the hearing. The post accused Judge Caldwell of being compromised and warned she would face consequences. Former federal prosecutor Joyce Vance said this was exactly the type of situation judges cannot ignore. Threatening a federal judge online and then refusing court orders in person is not just risky. It invites contempt. The ruling applied to 2 attorneys, Stanley Woodward and Emil Bove. Both were processed by marshals and held ahead of a compliance hearing scheduled for the next morning. Bail was initially denied after Judge Caldwell ruled they posed a continued risk of defiance. The filing included a passage legal experts are calling historic. Judge Caldwell wrote that allowing court officers to openly defy orders without consequence would destroy the justice system itself. She stated the lawyers had 24 hours to purge the contempt by producing the documents. If they complied, they would be released. If not, they would remain detained and face formal criminal contempt charges carrying up to 6 months in federal custody. Now you have seen what happened. But how we got here makes it even more serious. This confrontation was the result of months of escalating defiance that Judge Caldwell carefully documented through multiple rulings. The case centers on financial records tied to a Trump business entity. Prosecutors say the documents are essential. Trump's lawyers fought to keep them hidden at every step. The first order came in early spring. The defense asked for an extension. Granted. Then another extension. Granted. They challenged the scope. Denied. They filed an appeal. Denied. They claimed the documents did not exist. Prosecutors showed proof they did. They claimed executive privilege. The court rejected it. Each move bought time. Each move also built a record of obstruction. Everything changed the morning of the hearing when one attorney posted online suggesting Judge Caldwell was placed on the case to destroy Trump and warned that patriots were watching. According to filings, Judge Caldwell addressed the post directly and asked if counsel stood by it. Witnesses say there was no apology. There was escalation. Sources familiar with the judge describe her as careful and deliberate. She spent the prior week researching contempt cases and consulting court security. This was not emotional. It was planned. Former federal judge Michael McConnell explained that contempt power exists so courts can function. Without it, orders mean nothing. What made this case different was the public defiance. The lawyers were not quietly missing deadlines. They were loudly refusing and attacking the judge. Judge Caldwell addressed that directly, stating that open court defiance combined with public threats requires immediate action. Witnesses say the most shocking moment came when the Marshals walked to the defense table. There was a pause. Stanley Woodward looked toward the gallery. No one stepped in. The Marshals remained calm and professional. They asked counsel to come with them. The room was silent except for courtroom sketch artists Woodward asked to collect his papers. He was allowed. He asked to make a call. He was told that would happen during processing. He was then escorted out through a side door leading to holding areas. One veteran attorney watching said he had never seen anything like it in 20 years. The room stayed silent for nearly a minute. Judge Caldwell then announced a 30-minute recess and scheduled the compliance hearing for 9 hours the next morning. This is not the first time lawyers have faced contempt in major cases. But the details here are rare. During Watergate, Nixon's attorneys resisted but complied before arrests. During the Clinton impeachment, tempers flared but lawyers did not threaten judges or refuse outright. Even in Bush v. Gore, courts were respected. What is different now is the routine attack on judges. For years, Trump and allies labeled judges corrupt or biased. Most judges issued warnings. Judge Caldwell enforced consequences. Constitutional scholar Lawrence Tribe said this may mark a turning point. The strongest historical comparison is not Watergate. It is desegregation cases in the 1950s and 1960s where marshals enforced court orders. Judge Caldwell referenced the same principle. No one is above the authority of a federal court. Legal experts say this may be one of the most important contempt rulings in modern history. Andrew Weissman said it sends a message far beyond this case. Criminal contempt means punishment and deterrence, not just compliance. George Conway said the lawyers assumed rules did not apply because they represent Trump. That belief ended in custody. Barbara McQuaid noted detention changes everything. You cannot defy a court from a holding cell. Even conservative voices acknowledge the court's position. Jonathan Turr.